Any tips on palettes for backgrounds? Oh, damn, Ursula, go.
Palettes for backgrounds. For backgrounds, so when I'm figuring out,
I'll give you pictures.
thank you. When I'm figuring out scenes, uh, I in my color comic, I usually have like, um, a palette in mind for each scene. I mean, sometimes it takes experimenting, but it's usually like, uh, what's the location and what's like the mood of the scene. Because if like, because like in 9 Point, there's a scene that takes place in like a forest, like a forest path, and we were like, okay, well, what time of year is it? Well, it's early fall, so the leaves are starting to change, so I'm definitely gonna have like yellows and oranges, and that works well because the main character has like orange fur, so I can work that in, but I also need some greens, and then so like I'll sit down and I'll kind of be like, okay, with my green, I want it to match like the yellow and orange, so I'm probably going to use a more yellowy green instead of like a blue green. Um, and like if I was doing the same scene, but it's like a really like um sad scene, I might push things to more blue and like purple and stuff. Um, so just think of that, and then I usually will. I'll have like my character's default palette that's like on their design sheet, and then depending on like what the scene they're in is, I'll shift their colors to match the background. But you do want like your your background colors to also fit in with the
Happy anniversary. Oh,
characters'
thank you.
colors. It's a balancing act. You kind of have to experiment around. Um, yeah, you have to decide like, do I want my characters to blend in with the background or do I want them to stand out against it? There's a lot of decisions that go into picking your background palette. Um, yeah. Tips for set design. Again, you need to understand like the purpose of your setting. Your set designs, you should treat them the way you treat your character designs, where you're thinking about like, um, especially when it's like a a a place that someone maintains. Because if you're designing like a forest that like is just like a wild forest or whatever, um, you can get like a bit more organic and just focus on like the mood. Like, is it a spooky forest? Is it a happy forest, etc. And then really look at nature and stuff. But like, if you're designing like a house or someone's bedroom, like you really got to think like, how would this person decorate it? Like, is it is it my main character who's like a teenager like putting up stuff in their room, like, or is it the living room that like their dad decorated or something, which would be different than how the teen would want it. So yeah, so really thinking about what your characters would include in their home. And if you're drawing like a public space, I definitely grab reference. If you're making like, I don't know, the outside of a library, you can look at references of libraries and stuff. But yeah, it's treat it the same way you're designing a character. Like really think about the personality of the place, and then you also have to think about like the setting, because it's like any setting design can change depending on what mood you want it to be. Like, is it a scary library? Is it a lonely library? Is it super open and happy and newly renovated? What's gonna happen in the scene? Yeah. Is it possible to make a setting too big for the story? Yeah. Like, it definitely helps to have like a set, like, sorry, it helps to have an understanding of what the like what's necessary for the comic. Like, for 9 Point in particular, Bones makes me like a design doc.
Woo.
which is really lovely of him. Because he's written ahead of what we're drawing, so he'll go in and he'll be like, we need to design these characters because they show up in these chapters. Here are the settings. Here's like important objects. Here's like if we have like a flashback or like a story or something that requires different design work, he'll add that in. So yeah, it really helps to know what you need, because you don't want to say like design a huge floor plan for like, I don't know, like a science facility where you only see the outside of it and then like 1 or 2 laboratories in it. Like it can help to have like a general sense of like how big it is, but don't overwork something that you're not going to use. It's unless making big settings is fun for you, then go for it. But yeah, it's totally possible to make it too big than what you need. It really helps to write ahead.